The Independent National Electoral Commission said it had concluded the continuous voters registration exercise ahead of the Ondo State Governorship election slated for November 16, 2024. The Commission disclosed that a total of over 2 million registered voters would participate in the forthcoming governorship poll. The state's Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, disclosed this at the state's commission's headquarters in Akure, the state capital, on Saturday, while speaking on the preparation for the polls. 18 local government areas of the state and 16 political parties will be participating in this election. Well, joining me live in the studio at this time is Olufemi Lawson, is the SSA to the Ondo State Governor. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Lawson.
Good evening.
Good evening. All right, let me start by asking. The Ondo State election just happened, governorship poll just happened, a few days back. And right now we are looking at the Ondo elections. Are there takeaways for you?
Majorly for me, lessons have to be learned from the election in Ondo State, not only on the part of INEC, but on the part of the role of other stakeholders within the electoral chain, because a lot of times we look at INEC being the umpire as the only body expected to deliver credible elections, whenever there are elections, either at state or national level. But we must always understand that getting our election to be credible goes beyond the role or performance of INEC as a body. The election is a business of INEC and other stakeholders within the electoral chain, including the security agencies, particularly the police, the media, playing very crucial role in informing the citizens, the civil society, and some other important, institutions that have been working within the election cycle. So from Edo, we've seen a lot of progress made on the part of INEC. We've also seen a lot of criticism on the role of some members of the security agencies, though very few. But we have also seen the role played by politicians who are also within the electoral chain. So lessons must be learned from this moving forward to Ondo in order for us to have a more credible process driven by, integrity, driven by every stakeholder within the chain coming to play its role and ultimately having a less controversial, outcome, unlike what we're currently witnessing in Ondo State.
All right. I mean, you used the word controversial outcome in Ondo State, which of course we know that elicited quite a lot of reaction, and even till now. But let's look at the voter participation. We know that according to the register, a little above 2 million, almost something similar to what we saw in Ondo State. Looking at the entire population of Ondo and those that are registered to vote, I mean, is it okay to say that the people are pretty much, politically charged ahead of it?
Definitely, Ondo State, from history, is a politically conscious state. We are citizens who do not take governance, particularly election, with levity. And if you look at the last two elections in Ondo State, in 2016, we had about 580,000 people participating in the governorship election. Our elections have been off cycle since 2013. In 2020, which was the last governorship election, we had over 600,000, which was an improvement from what we had in 2016. So I'm confident that 2024, we will have more people coming to vote in this election because the CVR, the Continual Voters Registration, have shown that more people have registered. Now we have more younger people who have now registered to participate in this election. We've had close to 4,000 people who have transferred the existing registration from other parts of the country to Ondo State in order to participate in this election. We have also had a situation where the current administration in Ondo State has encouraged the citizens, particularly the young people, to see why they have a stake in governance, to the extent that they are now willing to be part of the process of making the next governor of Ondo State because of the opportunities that are now available for the average citizen of Ondo State. So this election would definitely be different. There may not be a reduction in what we have had in 2016, which increased in 2020, which we are hoping would be better in 2024.
I mean, let's talk of one of the major stakeholders in this process, and that is the political parties. I mean, about 4, we know that there are 16 political parties, but at least we know of 4 major, frontrunners: the APC, the People's Democratic Party, and the Labour Party, and also the NNPP. Concerning the role of political parties in this process, because they are key in mobilization, in sensitization, basically in the eventual outcome. How much of that role do you think these political parties are conscious of? Are they really doing anything to ensure that the process at the end of the day is hitch-free?
Thank you, Dako. This is very important. And a lot of times, even in the media, we overlook the role of political parties in election. A lot of times we have our focus on INEC, on the police, even the media, while neglecting the very crucial role expected of political parties. Statutorily, even by the virtue of the constitutions of our political parties, by the virtue of Electoral Act, by the virtue of the guidelines governing elections as stipulated by INEC, the political parties have very important role to play in sensitizing citizens. Voters' education is actually the business of political parties. But in this country, our political parties majorly have neglected their role to the extent that their participation in election has been reduced to campaigns, and this comes only every 4 years. When we have candidates for election, you find the political party visiting even the most interior part of the state, and they are nowhere to be found after these elections. Normally, statutorily, it is expected that political parties would sensitize the citizens, would educate them on their role, on their expected role in elections, on the do's and don'ts in elections. But a lot of parties have not been doing this. In Ondo State, what we have been doing is that the governor have consciously, created a path for citizens' enlightenment. That is the essence of the creation of the Office of the Public Enlightenment, where I currently serve. And the essence is to enlighten the citizens of Ondo State, even beyond Ondo State. The intention of the governor of Ondo State is to preach, to enlighten our citizens beyond the 4 walls of Ondo State. And that is part of the things the political party governing Ondo State, APC, is currently doing, which is expected, hopefully, of other political parties. We should educate citizens, we should enlighten them. A lot of our people are not even aware of their responsibilities in these elections, beyond having a PVC and going to vote. So, in essence, our political parties have not fared. They have not done well enough in the area of citizen sensitization, enlightenment, and voters' education, as statutorily expected from them. We are only hoping that as we move towards this election and other elections in the future, political parties will realize the key role they have to play in educating the citizens, in educating voters, in enlightening voters, as part of their statutory responsibilities as political parties towards elections.
I mean, let me ask also, before we go, a direct question. I mean, you are the SA to the governor. Any pressure?
In Ondo State?
Yeah.
In actual fact, you have followed the history of elections in Ondo State. At least I have actively participated in politics, though as election observer, monitor, as civil society person for over 20 years. And I can tell you that this is the first time that we have an election in Ondo State in just about 30 days. And if you get to Ondo State today, it looks like there is no election coming because there is no tension whatsoever. And only one thing is responsible for this: leadership. Currently, we have a governor who believes election is a democratic process, should be a civil process that should not involve tension. You know, we all saw what happened in Ondo State. At some point, the governor came on here and said, no, this is going to be a do or die affair. But in Ondo State, it is different. The governor is focused on governance, waiting for the commencement of campaign officially in the next few days. But ultimately, he has provided leadership, encouraged the citizens to be peaceful, and that is why today, there is nothing that suggests that we have an election that is going to be keenly contested in Ondo State, because even political actors from other political parties have aligned with the posture of the governor, which is about peace and stability, and that election should be a purely civil process that should be devoid of rancor and any form of tension. So in Ondo State, there's no tension.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Olufemi Lawson, SSA to the Governor of Ondo State. Once again, thank you for your time on the program.
My pleasure.